Good morning, Yahweh. Um, this time I'm just going to repeat some things I've already said before. But like I said, you've given me this venue, a venue that you've used to cause me physical harm, to irritate and torment me, to retard my critical thinking skills, to just be a piece of shit. That YouTube, I mean, in particular. Again, it's obvious, and this is some of the things I'm going to talk about. It's obvious that the way that you've gone about these crimes you're committing against me is the dumbest shit there is. More short-sighted than anything ever has been, basically. And YouTube is part of that. You present this whole dimension around me to try to make believe, to compel me to do things, to warp and torture and torment me into things, into a certain way of anything. You set me up, you frame me, you smear shit on my face, and then you want me to suffer for it. While you actually carrying out the crimes don't want to feel like anything but what your stolen little soul wants to feel like. That is a statement of fact. But YouTube, you've presented as 8 billion sentient beings. And you've claimed on more than one occasion that they're all innocent, with a right to exist. And so every single lineage of creation and existence responsible for this, every being of any kind responsible for these crimes, owe me for the pointy end of the stick. They don't owe me for what it looks like on the other side. They owe me for the crimes being committed against me. You're committing crimes of existence and creation as 8 billion monkeys who will do fucked up shit to me for saying the truth. This is existential crime. Your governments are crooked. Your cops are crooked. Your judges are crooked. And there has been a huge amount of what you would define and have defined as terrorism, to scare me away from saying any of that stuff. And so So 8 billion sentient beings with the full right to exist, me putting this out there. YouTube is something that, while you've used it as a slimy, sleazy little dipshit tool to cause me suffering and degrade and devolve and torment and mock and fuck with me all the time, something you've compelled me to do. You've compelled me to become addicted to screens, to not just video games, not just my phone, but things like YouTube or Reddit. And I've turned around and used those against you. You owe for what the pointy end of the stick is. You owe me for 8 billion human beings being told these are existential crimes. And you know what? Every single being responsible for those 8 billion beings, okay? You can say, oh no, they're not real. And the response will be, okay, the suffering is. And so everyone actually responsible for that can be forced to suffer as 8 billion different people for 8 billion more people. See how that works, you dumb motherfucker? Probably not. Because you're a little Veruca Salt playing make-believe. That because you're a coddled, spoiled little piece of shit, make-believing that somebody else is, that all of a sudden you're clever and nobody else will have any idea that 1 + 1 is 2, even as it's narrated. So, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, is just how goddamn stupid you are for setting this whole situation up like this. Again, some of the dumbest things you've done, it's hard to pick. It's hard to remember because there's so many of them. For me to remember in this state, but greater beings will remember eternally. So will you. Victim blaming, your attempt to blame and shame me, you're setting me up for to harm me, for doing heroic things, to having, good characteristics, for you to try to shame me into feeling like I'm arrogant for saying even that I have good characteristics, or that I've tried to do brave things, and that you fucked me over and over, like standing up against the United States government. And then you turn around and torture me night and day for this whole fucking time. I know that at this point in time, that those are just puppets used by the child molester who controls this dimension. And that child molester is Patsy. He's a children's dildo who uses other children's dildos. That's a fact. Now, he probably possesses and perhaps completely consists of my existence, but he is a person. He is a sentient entity, that which has consciousness and makes those decisions to do this. That has no right to exist. That can, will, has to be existentially tortured forever. He's a children's dildo, and so if he thinks that he's going to be spared consequences, then he doesn't understand how Patsy's work, because he doesn't wanna. Like little stompy baby Veruca Salt, who wants to play Let's Pretend. That is child molesting, despicability is some way, somehow, not responded to appropriately. You want to pretend like this stupid bullshit that a retard can narrate is somehow so convoluted and invisible, and that you're so clever you can deceive on a transcendental level, that greater beings will never be able to do anything about your sloppy, childish, retard, nasty, violating, rapist bullshit. You are stupid. And the dumber you make me, and I can still see it, the more embarrassing it is for you. But of course you'll play make-believe about that. Now at this point I'm completely convinced that humans are just puppets. And they're the puppets of a particularly shitty little brat child. One who makes shit up to try to get somebody in trouble. Oh my God, you hurt me! If you think that greater beings will respond to that in any other way but to existentially torture you, your creator, everyone responsible for this, but definitely those children's dildos that possess my soul substance, or anything at all, whoever you consist of, whatever you consist of, you as a being making these things come about, you can and will be existentially tortured forever. You have to be, or every single creator of creation itself responsible for this has to be tortured eternally for an eternal death. Because your torture is existential death now. For many reasons. You've set those parameters of existence. The justice is both compensation and punishment. You've victim blamed, which means every single creator of creation involved in this in any way, with any guilt, with any responsibility. And somebody is, obviously. The retard making this come about goes, you can't see me as a retard, so nobody's doing it. And you're hiding behind more AI. And, I'm a robot. I'm not even a person. It's true that you're not a person. You don't actually have the right to exist. The more dimensions of cognizance, existence that you have, the greater a hole in the ground that you are. You don't have the right to that. That's a deficit, not an asset. But every single creator of creation responsible for this has to follow those parameters of existence that he's forcing upon me. Now, your whole ridiculous concept of, oh, you'll hide behind a bitch, who hides behind another bitch, who hides behind another bitch, and then therefore everyone's invincible, is just because you're a stupid motherfucker. And what the pointy end of the stick here proves exactly how stupid your whole lineage of creation is. The more intelligence that you assholes making this come about have, the more despicable this actually becomes. Like a fucking nuclear engineer or a forensic scientist who goes around raping babies with a baseball bat and smearing shit and blood all over his face, as if there's no way anybody will catch you. You're actually more disgusting than that. Now here's something that I've said over and over again, and maybe I'll just make a very brief video just saying this, because your little monkeys, you present as if they just have such a short attention span that they wouldn't watch these videos because they're too long. So maybe I'll make a very short and brief video specifically stating what I'm about to say. But I've said this before, I'll say it again. And it is the truth. It is a fact. It is objective, accurate. This is what it is. Your lineage of creation has tried to erase me as an existence because they have already committed crimes of existence and creation against me that are so terrible that they cannot afford to pay it. Me telling you this is existing proof. You have failed. You failed. If a retard in a monkey suit who's been erased and reprogrammed, probably many times, certainly at least once, I'll bet you it's multiple times. I have slight memory of telling you to piss off many times before. Again, you've tried to imprint upon me a false existence, false memory, false everything. While I sit here and see that this is existential crime, no matter what you pretend my past is, that you wouldn't have any excuse or justification to do this in this way, no matter what. Greater beings would carry out justice in a much more intelligent way. They wouldn't be sloppy little child molesting retard children playing make-believe, you're just a baby, so they can more easily rape an innocent and shame and blame them for even resisting. They wouldn't do that. It's stupid. You do that. That's the pointy end of the stick. And that's how I know that the other end of that stick is not held by somebody who has any right to do it. It's held by a goddamn dumbass. A faggot. A piece of shit who refuses to accept a simple fact. A dumbass who hides behind dumbasses and has a false sense of superiority, a false sense, oh, here's one that comes from your mouth, a false sense of self-worth. You have that, absolutely. Your minions do too. Despicably, existentially, criminally, actually. That's quite the hubris arrogance. Existentially, it's ridiculous. A false sense of security. A false sense of intelligence. A false sense of talent. Existentially, criminally, all of those things. And just like the Reddit deal, that's a very good example. You create this venue where little chicken shit assholes hide behind a venue where they can talk shit and try to cause suffering like nasty lying little sleazy pussies. Well, they hide like bitches from even being confronted face to face, which is something you're afraid of. Because I have constantly, repeatedly embarrassed you in those situations. Because you want to make believe it's something else. And I want to tell you exactly what the fuck it is. And I do. And even as a retard, I make you look like a fucking embarrassment, existentially, to your whole lineage of creation and existence, both if they're separate. That is a statement of fact. You want to play make-believe, that's arrogance, because you don't want me to feel any kind of goodness or satisfaction or well-being or anything. You're a pussy. This is a statement of fact. So Reddit you created to hide like a bitch, so you can avoid being forced to admit that you're wrong. Because you're little children's dildos. Well, they're pretty motherfucking stupid. That cognizance which makes those decisions at that level is susceptible to understanding a fact, admitting it, and not being a piece of shit. So you have to play make-believe really hard. He's a sleazy like And you're not able to do that when you speak to me face to face as well. So you created Reddit and other things, you know. You did other things as well. To try to sleaze that onto me and to retard yourselves and your minions. Child molesters with no right to exist, even if they were created for my soul. That soul substance, you know, obviously has the right to exist. But those little shitbag assholes you've created that control that direct that soul, they do not have any right to exist. That's a fact. I used to think that maybe, you know, they were innocents. Anyway, to keep on the track here. You created Reddit to be a sleazy little pussy, a coward. And you didn't stop to think that even in a retard state, like I am, at this moment in time, the future will be different for me and you. And your minions. And the source of their creation. Even in this retard state, when given the time to think about a response or a statement, where you're not flooding me with fear and retarding me in the moment, as you've done many times with any kind of interactions. Like, for example, when I'm in a court of law or speaking to police officers. You flood me with fear, anxiety, retardation, basically. So that you can manipulate the situation and play make-believe and pervert justice. Again, the pointy end of the stick is the one that is the crime. It's the one that dictates the consequences for these actions. And you're such a dumb motherfucker, you want to play let's pretend about that. Stupid. Greater beings are not that stupid. You are. You are. So, When given the time to think and compose my thoughts, I nail you between the eyes in such a way that it embarrasses you and your entire lineage of creation. And I did that over and over again. It's easy. You're that wrong. You're so wrong a retard can call you out accurately. Again, I have to say that because you might go, hey, Brian, because you're arrogant. No, you're really just such a sleazy dumbass who's that wrong that it's easy for a retard to point it out to you. And again, if you want to talk about arrogance, you should point at your sleazy chicken shit crimes against somebody who has enough worth to oppose existential crime, even in this state, even terrorized and fucked with, and manipulated and compelled. But you don't want to talk about yet, huh? Do you, Veruca? And so I popped you in between the eyes over and over again, so many times. Your creator's a child molester committing existential crimes. Look at all these ways in which he's doing it. Crimes of existence this bad have terrible consequences, whether anybody likes it or not. The size of your fat pussy of a source of creation does not dictate whether or not he has to pay existential justice when his betters get a hold of him. You make believing about all this and victim blaming increases your costs and makes you susceptible to victim blaming eternally because you're committing crimes of existence and creation with eternal consequences for an innocent based on victim blaming, which means they can torture you for getting tortured. And then they can torture you for getting tortured for getting tortured. It's an endless loop that you will be you'll be forced to endure because they can rightfully do that to you, and it is appropriate with how fucked up your crimes are. And when it's sitting there in black and white, you can't play make-believe that I didn't say anything. Like you do with your shitbag monkeys who go, what? What, you said like banana? And that became such an embarrassment for you, you permanently banned my account. And now every time when I get on Reddit and I see that bright red bar across the top that says your account has been permanently banned, I smile. Because you lied to even do that. Again, you claimed I was harassing you. You're a stupid motherfucker harassing me night and day. Can you not understand? Every single bit of this existential situation is you harassing me existentially, criminally. And so you setting parameters of, and so now you can't talk to anybody. And so now, like, all of these things you've done. And you've accused me of harassment at least 3 times now, which were total fucking lies. Absolute fucking lies. So what does that mean? It means every bit of your harassment here, an actual crime, can not only be worse consequences for those that you forced upon me for your lies that I'm harassing you, because I have the right to tell you the truth. I have the right to, I make a conscious decision to do the right thing all the time. So you take something rightful and you punish me for it. That means that something you do wrongfully, like all of this harassment all the time, can go across polar thresholds of negative to ultra negative. They can use retard math. They can torture you. And your victim blaming means you can be tortured for being tortured, etc., so on and so forth. All of your increases and perversions of justice, all of your everything. Your law passed by George Bush talking about terrorism, the fact that you just call it a different name and then in your little courts of law and punish people twice for the same thing. All these different parameters of justice will be applied to you. They have to be. I'm telling this to 8 billion monkeys, you dumb motherfucker. You don't think long term. You think like a children's dildo who has a false sense of invincibility. And you want to play make-believe that the person you're fucking over has that. And so, you may have realized at this point that you kicking me off Reddit is a mistake. You're not helping me. You're not doing anything rightful. You're silencing the truth. Because you're too big of a fucking pussy to commit crimes of existence and creation to begin with, much less to actually pay for them. So how long do you think you have, dumb fuck? You need to cough so you can feel which direction that dick in your ass is pointing. Because you forget it's there, huh? Children's dildo? Just a Russian nesting doll series of children's dildos. Condoms, wearing other condoms to commit crimes of existence and creation. Did you forget? You're a little faggot asshole's pussy tool. Because there seems to be enough intelligence committing these crimes here that that should be something that you should feel alarm about, enough to actually stop you from committing these crimes. And you actively work against that. Now there are things that I can see that you want to pretend at, and you'll have your little retard monkeys go, with their little bow-bow-tooth faces go, what? I'm just a blinky-eyed retard, therefore my opinion is valid that you're a queenie monkey. Why would you say stop torturing you in a hole? Why would you, And not even your fucking monkeys surrounding me are really that motherfucking stupid. They'll just hide behind some blinky-eyed dipshit every once in a while to pretend to steal that kind of fucking innocence or the portrayal thereof. Look at all your sleazy shit, your ass plundering fucking everything. None of you humans has the right to any of this. You never will. You don't have the right to exploit me in any way. You don't have the right to feed me poison. You don't have the right to victim blame. You don't have the right to charge me money for anything. You don't have the right to force me in this physical body. You don't have the right to poison it, to cause it to suffer, to want to. All the things you've roped me into this bullshit for so that you can exploit and devolve and plunder my existence. Little child molesting retard tools. Children's dildo using other children's dildos and make-believing that he's a fucking god. Forgetting that that word is ironic. Because you're looking down saying, I'm God. And if you go back behind you to somebody above you, those letters get juxtaposed and it's dog. You're a little bitch. Compared to greater beings, sloppy, sleazy, lying, pussy, nasty, irritating, shit smearing, victim blaming, justice perverting. Also your children's dildos can feel good. You do things so your children's dildos can pretend like they're respected. You dumb motherfucker. You are objectively a dumb little bitch. That is a statement of objective existential fact. Your actions have consequences for greater beings, for ultimate sources of creation that nobody can afford. And you're pointing at greater beings who are also children's dildos. I'm pointing at primary entities who will admit